I'm Rob Downey, a family practice MD and Institute for Functional Medicine certified practitioner. I'm coming to you from Seaworthy Functional Medicine in Homer, Alaska. Seaworthy exists to help people overcome their health challenges and be fully vital. I think all of us would agree that being lean and healthy is a number one interest for so many of us. And what's happening in functional medicine now is the breakthrough that we can do this in harmony with our bodies rather than fighting our bodies, rather than dieting. And today we are so fortunate to be joined by one of the finest thought leaders in this arena, Nagina Abdullah, a coach for women for being lean and healthy. Nagina, thanks so much for being on the Seaworthy podcast today.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Dr. Rob.
We just had a lot of fun recently supporting one of your recent big efforts, and now I've gotten to talk to you 2 or 3 times, and I've found that creates a really great conversation on the podcast, because then I have a more focused sense of your superpowers and how to set the stage to share those things with others. And I want to acknowledge, as we segue in here, that a couple of the things I respect about you the most are that you meet women where they are. Part of your own journey started with weight loss during a lot of responsibility in a busy, I think, a 60-hour week job. And I'm sure that is so compelling for women to know that you had success akin to theirs, because they've got to build the plane as they fly it. And then as we get into ideas you have to share with everybody, I realized as I looked through your bio that part of the source, part of your origin story as a superhero is you've got a molecular and cellular biology degree from UC Berkeley. So under the hood, there's that physiology mastery, which I'm sure just makes you all the more effective. So we're going to talk today about how to boost metabolism. And as we start, I realized it might be wonderful, because of the power of language, because you're the founder of Masala Body. Do you want to briefly share what the word masala means and why you chose it?
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's such a great, fun question to start off with. And so, yes, Masala Body is the name of my company and my website. And it really comes from, so masala means a blend of spices. And I grew up in a traditional Indian family where we use spices in all of our food. And so when I was on a quest to permanently lose weight, which is different than all the other efforts I had had in the past, when I wanted to find a sustainable way to lose weight, I realized that the taste of food was so important to me, and I just couldn't have bland foods that were considered healthy, just in the name of getting healthier and losing weight. I just was not able to force myself to do that. So I started utilizing a lot of the spices that I grew up with and the spice blends, and this is so surprising to me, but that combined with really high metabolism foods that were very filling, which we're going to talk more about today. That combination helped me in a healthy way lose more than I'd ever before. I lost 40 pounds in 9 months. While I was working really long hours, after I had never had control of my weight or my sugar cravings in my previous life. And so I started the name Masala Body for my blog, because masala is a blend of spices, and it also gets you a spicy body or a masala body, because it helped me get into the best shape of my life, and now has helped hundreds of my clients do the same. So that's where it comes from. It's a blend of spices for a spicy body.
That's so cool. And because spices will be coming up again a number of times, I'd like everybody to think as we go through that part of, from a functional medicine perspective, what Nagina is sharing with us today is that the body knows the way. And when we provide the resources, the body drifts to a lean, high muscle mass state when we provide the right cues and resources. And then one quick functional medicine note for folks is these spices and combinations of them have incredible aromas, which then are akin to the benefits of essential oils, because they go straight to our amygdala, our midbrain,
Mhm.
And this is a really powerful life hack too, to send a signal of safety, joy, and abundance via that particular sense pathway into the body. Goes right past a bunch of the standard filters immediately to our emotional centers. And so there's a richness to this that's beyond the dimensions of other approaches, which I think is really beautiful.
Oh, that's so true. This the smell, the aroma, the taste, the flavors, and then the benefits all adding together. It's really beautiful. It's really fun, and that's
Yeah.
why it's so sustainable.
Mm. Well, let's start then with how folks boost their metabolism by timing, adding, and pairing foods.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'll start here with adding foods. And one of the first things that is really a myth that I want to start off by busting is that eating less and cutting calories below what your body needs is going to help you lose weight. That's a myth. And you really start to see the change of this in midlife. So usually for women, this would be around 45 plus. And for men, you're also going to experience this as well, as with time, as our bodies start to change. And so with eating less calories than our body needs, what happens is that we can't really get healthier in a way, that we can't lose weight, we can't get leaner, and that's because our body needs a certain amount of calories just to create its everyday functions. And especially for women in our 40s, for most women, that's the typical age. It could happen earlier as well. Our hormones are starting to decline. For everyone, men and women, our muscle mass is rapidly declining around that age. And so when we don't have enough calories, then we're accelerating that process. And those are things that accelerate our metabolism declining. So the first key is really to make sure that you're not under eating anymore. That strategy does not work. It used to work. It did used to work for many people, but you'll notice that it was never sustainable. It was always very temporary. It wasn't the healthy way to lose weight. And so if you're looking, to get leaner in a healthy way, because that it's gonna improve your overall energy levels, your overall blood pressure, you want to look and feel more positive. The losing weight is an excellent way to do it, as long as it's in a healthy way. And so adding foods that are metabolism boosting is the first key. So really adding foods that get your metabolism going, that get it revved up so that your body can burn fat more, versus storing fat. And when you add these metabolism boosting foods, what happens is that you naturally no longer have the cravings for foods that are high in sugar, or foods that are giving you a sugar rush and then a sugar drop. And this is really important, because a lot of times when people have sugar cravings, which is many people, whether it's for sugar or whether it's for salty types of carbs, those are still going to break down to sugar. When we have cravings for those foods, it's easy to tell ourselves to stop eating those foods. And that really never works. And that's never going to work. That's using willpower as a way to control yourself. And willpower never works. It's never going to work all the way through. So it's better to set up a system of adding foods to your day that keep you fulfilled and keep you satiated. And then as a result, you don't want those foods that are sugary. So it's actually going around it in an indirect way by adding more. And then you start to have less cravings of those unhealthier foods. So I'll share a few metabolism boosting foods that would be really instrumental to add. And by adding these foods, what you're doing is you are really starting and really prioritizing keeping your blood sugar stable. And this is really important, because when you keep your blood sugar stable, you're not getting a high and then a low. And what happens with those highs and lows is that insulin is being released when you get a sugar high. And that is bringing sugar out of your bloodstream and storing it in your fat cells. So you're storing fat when you get that sugar high, unless you were to go run and work it off right away, or go and exercise and work it off. But if you're having your regular day, it's going to be stored as fat. And so what we want to do is we want to keep our blood sugar stable, so that we're not getting those ups and downs and that storage of fat. We're just getting the blood sugar to keep our energy going. And so the number one food to do this with is to add more protein. And I have a mantra called protein more, which is something I would love for you who's listening to think about this at your next meal, to think about this mantra, protein more. And protein more means that you're having more protein than you were having yesterday. And really starting with breakfast, because breakfast is one of those meals that we can find that we don't have time for, or that protein isn't always a major priority. It's easy to have things like a bagel, or to have a fruit, or just to have coffee, and then before you know it, it's lunchtime. Well, what's happening when you don't give your body the right food at that time is that your body's just waiting for you to give it food. And when you do, it's going to hold on to that. It's not going to use it for energy and then go through a healthy process of using the food you have for energy. And then moving forward, it's just going to store it because it doesn't know when it's getting its next meal. So it's really important to continue to feed your body throughout the day. And so adding protein at breakfast gets this jump started right away. And so what will happen is when we eat protein, then protein digests more slowly. And so you're not going to feel hungry for a much longer time than if you were to have something quick that just quickly burns off, like a bagel, toast, yogurt, anything like that, or just coffee. So you're going to actually feel that you eat something and then it's digesting slowly. So you're not going to feel hungry 30 minutes later or an hour later. And now, in addition to that, protein naturally builds our muscle mass. So in this moment of for those that are in midlife and beyond, but really at any time, if you are having more protein, you're, even by just eating, you're building your muscle mass. And I've seen this data in so many people that their protein is increasing their muscle mass without even working out. So this is a really key part of increasing your metabolism, is having more muscle on your body. But not everybody wants to, or is at the place yet to go and do heavy lifting or to work out and do strength training, though that is a great next step. First thing is, if you start with food is 80% of getting lean. So this is the right place to start. So adding protein more is going to really get this going. You're going to feel full. You're going to be increasing your muscle mass, and you're also going to be lowering your blood sugar ups and downs, because it really stabilizes your blood sugar. So you're going to store less fat. So this is really key. So a couple ways to add protein, like a couple suggestions, and I'll start with breakfast, are things like eggs, egg whites. The Greek yogurt is high in protein. Cottage cheese is high in protein. If you don't eat meat or eggs, then you can also have protein powder. You can have a vegan protein powder or any other kind of protein powder and put it into a smoothie, or just mix it with water and milk, and you'll get 25 to 30 grams of protein like that, which is a great start to your morning. And then also having a tofu scramble is another really good idea. And of course, in eggs and tofu, I like to encourage using the spice turmeric with some black pepper to increase absorption, because turmeric is yellow. It goes really well with eggs. It goes really well with tofu to make it look like an egg scramble. And you have this anti-inflammatory effect that's enhanced by adding black pepper. So those are kind of a few little tips to increase your metabolism, but really adding that protein in and then combining it with low sugar fruit or veggies is going to keep you more full, because you're getting fiber from that. So you're actually eating more, which is another one of my mantras, to eat more. And you're going to feel more full and satiated. You're giving your body what it needs in terms of more fiber, more protein, vegetables, real food. And you're not going to feel those cravings for sweets or for sugar. And it's going to really, really change everything for you. It's going to start to make things feel so much easier. So that's a little bit about the adding point. I'll just pause to see if you wanted to share anything on that.
Well, I think it's brilliant. And I was thinking as you talked that if folks sometimes what I hope they do with the podcast, when the density of the content is that good, is I hope they'd stop for a moment and just create a moment of peace and silence and hit the pause button and just say, wow, what would happen if I just did what Nagina shared in the last 5 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
So if that person had the tingles feeling when they heard that, that's the time to stop and take a couple notes or go replay the last 5 minutes and write a couple of things down and take action on them. And what you're describing, that characterizes what I see when people have that relief that they're not pinned, they're not trapped when they deploy principles like that. So Nagina's approach is state of the art. There's a reason she's a thought leader in this arena. And then the brilliance of the cultural origins of pairings of spices is that clearly folks were listening to their bodies historically. And so you know so much more about this than I do, but one piece of science that I love is that the bioperine or bioperine in black pepper, depending on how you want to pronounce it, that is the bioavailable delivery companion to the active ingredient in turmeric, which is curcumin, and it kicks up the absorption massively. And then ginger shows up in a lot of these recipes, and piperine and ginger also kicks up the bioavailability of curcumin. And curcumin may be the best botanical anti-inflammatory ever because it has all of the benefits of prednisone with none of the side effects. It downregulates NF-kappa B, the master inflammatory control knob in our nuclear cellular control machinery. So, wow, Nagina is in the zone. Stop, take notes, go deploy these principles. It's really powerful stuff.
Oh, thanks so much, Dr. Rob. And I have actually seen my clients who start following the things that I just shared, as well as some of the other things I'll share, and really having protein more at breakfast is commonly rated as a number one reason that women are losing 10, 20 plus pounds, because it's very satiating. It increases your metabolism. Your body's no longer waiting for you to give it something and holding on to your fat. You're actually activating your metabolism. This is really important. And I want everyone to just give it a try, because there's nothing wrong with eating these real foods. Like, your body is going to be thanking you for taking care of it, instead of skipping a meal and thinking that's taking care of it. That's not. That's depriving yourself.
Yeah.
So yes, absolutely. Well, and I can share. I'd love to share some more about the combining foods as well.
Perfect. Yeah, let's segue into pairing foods, and just a cautionary comment for folks. I certainly take care of people that skip breakfast. I take care of people that have fasting protocols based on the work of Jason Fung and others. And so I can acknowledge that some people doing keto or trying to prevent dementia, there are people that skip breakfast, particularly those with the ApoE4 genetic trait where they're actually sort of built to fast genetically. But if we just look at the rule in general, the rule is befriend breakfast. And if folks are thinking about skipping breakfast, A, I would caution them not to. And B, I would say, don't forget, for a lot of folks, this not only shuts down metabolism, but it can also torpedo the cortisol awakening response, which is our first manager signal of the day for all of our metabolic components to get up and get going. And so just be really, really cautious about skipping breakfast. It's not wise. Befriending breakfast is typically where it's at.
Yes. Oh, thank you for sharing that. Yes, absolutely. And if you are someone that intermittent fasts, or that fasts for another reason, it's also about having protein at your first meal that you have, and having enough food during the time that you're eating. That's really key.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, how about food pairing then?
Yes. Okay. So food pairing is so important, because the thing is that a lot of times there's a lot of fear around eating healthy, because we feel like we have to remove our favorite foods, or we're not allowed to eat the sweets or the fruit or the other foods that we may love. And that's absolutely not true. It's really about balancing what you're eating, and also being educated around how to eat these foods so that you don't get the blood sugar spikes that they commonly will cause. And so when you pair foods in a strategic, really easy, simple way, you can have the foods that you want. You just may have them in smaller portions. So this is going to go hand in hand with the eating more concept, which is, instead of eating foods alone, it's so much smarter to eat them paired with something that will slow the digestion. So pairing foods means if you want to have something that is higher in sugar or will digest really quickly and give that blood sugar spike, well, then you want to pair it with either a protein, which will slow the digestion just because you're eating it together, or you're eating it after you already have protein in your body, or you can also pair it with a healthy fat. And I'm going to give you some really clear examples of that. So a lot of times, we might want to have an apple or a fruit, which is totally fine. But an apple is going to digest pretty quickly and give you a blood sugar spike, even though it's considered natural sugar, though it may not be entirely natural anymore because all of our fruit it's injected with more things just so that it's sweeter and that it tastes nicer and it's bigger. So we want to take that with a grain of salt, but you can absolutely have fruit, but it is going to spike your blood sugar. And so if you pair it with something like peanut butter, 1 to 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, healthy fats also digest more slowly. So if you have an apple with peanut butter, and try to have it be a smaller apple or half an apple, so you're not getting increased amounts of sugar, but you're getting an amount that's not going to spike your blood sugar that much, then you can enjoy that snack, and it's actually going to keep you more satiated than just having the apple alone, which may keep you hungry and you may want to have more sugar later on. When you have the peanut butter with it, you're slowing the digestion. Your blood sugar is barely increasing. It's going to be increasing a very small percentage of what it would have before. So that's one example, having an apple with peanut butter. And again, that's going to eating more is actually better, because then you are keeping away those unhealthy sugar cravings that would come. So another food pairing that is really key is if you're having a smoothie. There's so many smoothies that are on the internet, and I tried to find these myself for so long because I was looking for healthy foods, and I thought smoothies sound like they're healthy. So as I was looking at them, I was looking at all the elements, all the ingredients that are usually in smoothies, and a lot of times there's like 3 to 4 fruits. There's maybe one vegetable, and then almond milk or some kind of liquid, and then that's it. So when you're only having that is not going to help you with fat loss or with leaning out. It's a lot of fruits, it's some vegetables, but that doesn't mean that it's going to help you avoid fat gain. So what you really want to do is you want to add some protein to this smoothie so that you slow the digestion of what else is in the smoothie. It's not that it's bad ingredients, it's that it will spike your blood sugar. And so there's so many other nutrients in fruit and in vegetables that we want to have, but we want to slow the digestion of it. And so getting either a scoop of protein powder, any kind of protein powder that you like, is going to be really great. And that's going to give you a really good amount of protein, or using Greek yogurt if you don't want to use protein powder, usually a plain Greek yogurt, because Greek yogurt is much higher in protein and lower in sugar. When you add that, you're going to slow the digestion of what you're drinking, and you're also going to feel more full for longer. And so that's really, really key to do that. And then, one more example that I want to share is for those of you that love pasta. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't have to have pasta or that you don't have to have pizza, but what you'll see is that if you were to add some greens, like in the form of a salad first, and then if you also add protein to your pasta in the form of, it could be meatballs, it could be vegan meatballs, it could be Italian chicken, and have that protein, and then you're going to end up having a smaller portion of the pasta because you had more protein and you had more veggies. And so, but you're still having what you want. You're just adding these other foods to it. And those are the foods that are going to boost your metabolism. So instead of only relying on one food, it's adding these other elements, these other macronutrients that are really increasing your metabolism. It's going to slow the digestion of the pasta, and you still get to enjoy it, but you're going to notice that you're going to have more energy. Your metabolism is going to start increasing. You're not going to feel that heavy feeling you might feel after an entire bowl of pasta or several pieces of pizza, but you can still have it. You just have the other foods with it. So really combining your foods, especially carbs and sugars, with healthy fats and healthy proteins, and really making it more of a more complex, a few more ingredients to the meal, but just making sure you have that, you're going to notice that your metabolism is going to go up, it's going to go up very noticeably, very quickly, and you can tell because you'll have more energy. But if you add the protein more concept to your breakfast, and then you add that to every meal, and you also are pairing your carbs with proteins or fats and just making it a full meal, really in 1 week, I mean, it's pretty surprising what can happen. That you'll notice your weight going down on the scale. You might notice your waist size decreasing. It happens rapidly, and it's because of what we're eating that is keeping us, feeling stuck. But it's not better to eat less. It's more just to understand like how to put these foods together.
Absolutely. As we talk about why diets don't work, you've alluded to it a number of times. I would go so far as to say I don't even use the word anymore, because the word itself has negative connotation. There's a deadness and a dullness to that word. And so language is so interesting too. And we've talked about this before, that just freshening up language can freshen up our relationship with what matters to us. I would say I don't know anybody in the folks I work with that tells me about a diet that helped them. It's always a food plan, an abundance based relationship with foods they love and that they develop friendships with over time. And I think part of what's happening that doesn't get talked about enough is that keeps the person in rest and digest, rest and restore mode, which is parasympathetic nervous system dominant mode. And I think diet is essentially a form of should, and should is essentially a form of fight flight. So let's hear your insights on why diets don't work.
Yes, no, but absolutely. Yes, I love everything you're saying. So diets, first of all, they are very temporary, and they really are based on restriction, and they're based on deprivation of eating less and eating and taking away most of the foods that, a lot of the foods that many of us enjoy. And so it's really about subtracting food, which is a very negative concept, to say that I can't do these things and to forbid yourself from doing this. Now, there's so much research that shows that whenever we forbid ourselves from doing anything, then it actually makes us be completely consumed by that thing that we are forbidding ourselves from doing. So that strategy, from a psychology perspective, doesn't really work, though it may work if you were just to look at the science of it. But we're full human beings, so we have to look at our psychology as well. So when you're told not to do something, sometimes you want to do it, or sometimes you just don't want to be restricted from it. And the other thing about diets is that they can work for a certain amount of time, or maybe you have a goal that you're very driven to reach. But likely what happens is, if, for example, if someone's goal was either to fit into a certain size by an event that's coming up, or to lose maybe 10 pounds, once you get to that goal, it's really hard to continue keeping all those foods out and restricting yourself like you were. And so a lot of times we'll say, okay, well, I'm just going to let myself do this now. I really want to have this food. It's okay. I know what to do afterwards. And that weight likely comes back on slowly until it all comes back on, and sometimes more. And so this is all because we're depriving ourselves. So if we switch that way of thinking about getting healthier, and change it to adding foods to our day, and making things taste good with delicious spices or with delicious foods, then it becomes a positive lifestyle that we want to embrace, things that we look forward to doing. And so really just switching that conversation and adding foods, like I was mentioning before, as a result of adding metabolism boosting foods, you don't want those foods that are lower, that are really calling your name, or that you may be craving. You don't even crave them anymore. So you're going in this more positive way of adding foods that can taste good, and that are making you feel good. So that's a lot about the psychology. And then secondly, as we get to our midlife time, we really can't afford to eat less because our body's asking for more. And you'll notice, you'll know that this is happening because you've probably maybe, you may be doing what you've been doing for all the years before, but it's no longer working. You may be gaining weight. You may be confused because you're so healthy and you're not sure what's happening. Well, what's happening is that your body needs more, and you do need to increase your metabolism by food, number one, and then by adding some strength and some tone to your body so that you can accelerate fat loss and you can keep your metabolism high. So those are definitely a few ways. And instead of a diet, I invite you to adopt a lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle, and really look at it as wanting to eat these delicious foods, knowing what to eat for your meals, having things prepared ahead of time, or having easy go-to ingredients, because also making it simple is part of the way that this works. And really looking at it step by step instead of a sprint to lose weight. More of that you're creating new habits, you're moving in that direction, you're seeing change, but it doesn't have to mean that you're rushed to see the results on the scale. You'll see it, it will come as you start making these steps. And if you give yourself that grace of allowing yourself to build these habits, you don't go backwards. You won't gain the weight back. Like for me, I lost the 40 pounds over 13 years ago. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, because I was a yo-yo dieter. I just didn't know any better. I didn't know any different. But then once I started researching all this scientific information from my degree, I started realizing there's foods that you can add. We can focus on metabolism boosting. And then I started realizing the power of these delicious spices. And that really made me love my food every single day. And so now I look forward to what I'm eating, and I don't want those other meals because I can feel that they make me tired. I can feel that they zap my energy. And that's what happens when you start taking sugar out of your diet. Once you start having it in higher quantities, you'll realize that it's actually taking away from you. And you're okay in smaller quantities. So when I have sugar, I choose it, but I'm not going to overeat it because I can feel that it's making me tired. And so that's why this is a lifestyle that you start craving healthy foods. You start loving it. And you can't even imagine like not eating like this, because it's so much easier as well. So
Thank you so much. The concept I've shared with folks that seems to be most resonant for them is that we've all had different types of friends over the course of our lives. And we find when we have the blessing of those best friends that really show up for us and have our back, we don't have to teach ourselves or tell ourselves to spend more time with our best friends. Mm-hmm. It just happens automatically.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I love that. Yes, you're not having to make an effort. It's not an effort. You just want to see that person. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is an automatic process. Our last topic today is portion sizes and spices. And at the end of that, Nagina is going to share a gift for people who attend the podcast if they want to connect with her resources and learn more.
Oh my gosh. Okay, absolutely. So this is a really fun part of the conversation as well. And so, we've talked a lot about combining foods and adding foods and really keeping your blood sugar stable. And so I really want to, just reiterate how important that is to do. But the other thing that's very important is for us to look at the portion sizes of what we're eating, because that's how we complete the formula of increasing metabolism and increasing fat loss in your body, is that you do want to have portion sizes that are appropriate for your body. And so really just being conscious of this is important. So a lot of times the portion sizes are more than you may be eating. And so really looking at your plate and knowing that there's some food you want to have more of, and there's some foods you just want to be conscious of. So I'll just share a little bit about that. So I have a framework that's called the Tested and Perfected Fat Burning Food Framework. And in this framework, we show that for every meal, you should have protein as 40 to 50% of your plate. And that's really important for the reasons that I mentioned. And you're very directly increasing metabolism by adding more protein. And I'm going to tell you how to spice it up and how to flavor it up. So it's going to feel really easy. But then also having 40 to 50% of your plate be tasty veggies or low sugar fruit. So really getting that fiber in from either fruit or veggies and making sure you have enough of it. And so these are the two areas that many people are under eating. They're under eating protein and they're under eating veggies, or they're under eating low sugar fruit. So you really want to add more of those. And then having healthy carbs, or what I call slimming carbs, as 25% of your plate is really key. So it's like switching the formula to your carbs not being the base of your meal, but a side. Is really going to get your metabolism going, and that's going to help you to give your body what you need. You should definitely have carbs, but you want to have what I call slimming carbs, because that is going to, those are carbs that burn more slowly. So when you pair it with protein and when you pair it with veggies, you're really activating that low blood sugar, that even blood sugar. And slimming carbs are things like beans, lentils. They could be what I call slimming grains, which are millet, couscous, farro, buckwheat, just alternative grains that are low on the glycemic scale. And then also some vegetables like squash, sweet potatoes, zucchini, that are more starchy vegetables. Those are all really great carbs. And also high fiber bread or sprouted grain bread like Ezekiel bread is really good. So having that at 20 to 25% either healthy carbs or healthy fats. And the reason I want to really bring up healthy fats is because healthy fats is the one food that is very calorie dense. And so if you look at, for example, your peanut butter, which is a fat, that is going to be 180 calories for 2 tablespoons, which is fine. That's fine. We need that as part of our day, but it could be easy to have double that or sometimes triple that. It could be very easy. And so with a couple bites, you've really added 200 to 400 calories to your day, which will have an effect on your metabolism, because we do want to eat at a place where we're able to burn fat. Like, we're not giving our body like excessively more calories. So the foods that I'm describing are all so nutrient dense. Fats are also calorie dense. So you really want to just look at your portions and have around 14 to 15 grams of fat at one serving. So try to just take note of that. That's in one of the top areas that I see that women who are trying to be healthy are by mistake eating too much of, because these are healthy foods, but you may not realize that they're adding to your overall day and making you really exceed your necessary caloric intake. But for all the other foods, they're so filling, but yet they're so low calorie. And that's why you need to eat more, because you're going to keep yourself full, and it's actually going to help your metabolism. So putting this all together in terms of the food pairing and then the portioning is really going to bring you to a fat loss stage, and it can continue and continue and continue, and it'll feel so easy. And then adding the spices on top of it is going to give you that final boost, because there's so many spices that are metabolism boosting, and also that are going to help you decrease your cravings for sugar as well. And so one of my favorite spices, and the one that that a lot of my audience loves to start with, is a sweet spice, and that's cinnamon. And so adding cinnamon to your coffee or your tea in the morning instead of sugar or instead of a sweetener is really going to be great to kickstart your metabolism boost. Because what cinnamon does is that it lowers your blood sugar. So if you had anything that you were eating before, or just in general, it'll help to even out your blood sugar, and it will prevent that fat storage that could happen. So adding cinnamon is a really great way. Also adding turmeric, like we mentioned, to your eggs is really good, because it is anti-inflammatory, along with black pepper is going to help increase the absorption. So adding turmeric is going to make you feel less, it's going to give you the results of being less puffy in your face, in your stomach. Also, joint pain starts to get alleviated when you have it consistently. And so that's another really great spice to start with. And then for those of you that are open to spicy spices, because spices are not spicy, the two that I mentioned were sweet And turmeric is very neutral. It doesn't really taste like anything. It actually, you can't even tell that it's there most of the time. So there's so many spices that are neutral, including cumin, coriander, ginger, so many other things. But if you are somebody that wants a spicy spice, then you could start with cayenne pepper. And cayenne pepper has the compound capsaicin in it. And what capsaicin does is it increases calorie burning and it gets your metabolism going. And so you can add just a sprinkle of cayenne pepper on your vegetables, on your protein. You can combine it with cumin, which helps reduce belly fat storage, and coriander, which reduces water retention, so it reduces bloating. And you could have a little spice blend of like cayenne, cumin, coriander, salt, and pepper. And you can really just use that on your fish, on your meat, on your tofu, and really just bake it for about 20 minutes with those spices on it. And you really don't need too much more than that. And you're going to have these delicious flavors, and you're going to be boosting your metabolism at the same time. So these are a few ways to round it out, combining your food, but then also, first of all, adding the right foods, combining the foods that you want to eat with other fats or proteins, and then also making sure that you have the right portion sizes in terms of more of certain foods, and then just monitoring the portions of others. And then finally using spices to flavor it and to give that extra boost. And this is a true lifestyle that's very enjoyable. It is very delightful. You look forward to what you're eating and you see the results really quickly and sustainably. And so you kind of don't want to do anything else because it just works and it feels so easy. So those are really some key ways to boost your metabolism. And I just want to encourage people to boost their metabolism versus looking at cutting calories and under eating, because you'll see that's not working after a certain point.
Terrific. Absolutely terrific. Well, I thank our audience for joining us. And, as you can tell, this lady's a superstar and she's got it dialed in. And so I heartily encourage them to check out your work or engage in your programs. Where can people find you?
Oh yes, absolutely. Well, I have so my website is masalabody.com. So I have a lot of resources there, but I have also a special free gift for your listeners, which is a great place to find me. So that is my Sweet Spice PDF. And this is more about the spice. I talked a little bit about it today, but it's the spice that is so common. It's likely in your kitchen cabinet. You're most likely using it for baking, but there's so many other things you can use it for in your everyday. And it's going to help you lower your blood sugar and also curb your sugar cravings right away. So I have this cheat sheet. It's called the Sweet Spice Cheat Sheet, and it includes 3 health benefits of using this spice, 5 ways to use it in your day. Most of them are no cook ways. And then also a really easy fire tea recipe, which is a belly fat burning fire tea that you can make in the evening. It includes a lot of the spices we've been talking about, the sweet spice. It includes some ginger. It includes a couple other things that are very easy, and it really cuts your cravings. And so this is at masalabody.com/sweet spice PDF. So you can grab that. And then after that, you'll see some of the events that I have coming up, some recipes that I have, and just, we'll be in contact after that. And so I would absolutely love for you to grab that Sweet Spice cheat sheet.
And that'll be in the show notes too.
Awesome.
Thanks a million.
Absolutely. This was so much fun. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks for joining us for the Seaworthy podcast. Seaworthy exists to help people overcome their health challenges and be fully vital. If you think we've earned it, please consider giving this podcast a like, subscribing, and giving us a 5-star rating on the platform of your choice. Thanks.